So they were unable, almost constitutionally unable, to contain their fiscal deficits. Then the US dollar appreciated, coming on to the late 1990s, and that made the economy even more competitive. And to make matters as bad as they could possibly be, in 1999, Brazil devalued its currency. And Brazil is Argentina's largest trading partner. It is estimated that by the year 2000, the Argentine economy, the Argentine currency, was overvalued by something like 40%. And the convertibility law made it impossible to devalue to restore competitiveness. Well, everyone knows that the currency board collapsed quite spectacularly amid much social unrest. So when flexibility was needed, Argentina did not have it. And that gives us an example and an idea why, if we cast around at the broader history of fixed exchange rate, why they have been so unsuccessful. In the 1970s, more than 90% of developing countries had fixed or pegged exchange rates of one form or another. And by the time we get to the 1990s, 20 years later, less than half of them had fixed exchange rates. Now it is less than 40% of developing countries that have fixed or pegged exchange rates. They became subject to either periodic devaluations or, in most cases, complete abandonment of the attempt to peg the exchange rate. And the reason has to do with the fact that most of these countries lacked the institutional strength, the fiscal discipline, and the history of sound monetary policy to avoid the exchange rate coming under periodic pressure. Especially in the case of small economies like those we have in the Caribbean, where they tend to be vulnerable to external shocks, both from the globalized economy and from natural disasters. So, our startling conclusion is that as much as every time we have a depreciation of our currency, we look misty-eyed at our Bayesian neighbors and the stability they have enjoyed for so long, it seems that Barbados is more an exception than it is a model for Jamaica. For very few developing countries over the last 20 and 30 years has a fixed exchange rate been employed successfully as a long-term anchor. Success with that kind of regime calls for a level of fiscal discipline that has completely eluded Jamaica since independence. It was mentioned in another forum that in all the nearly 50 years since independence, Jamaica has managed to run a fiscal surplus in only 9 of those years. So until Jamaica is able to achieve and maintain greater fiscal discipline, lower fiscal deficits, the question of a fixed exchange rate should not arise. Thank you.